الحسين وعلى علي بن الحسين وعلى أولاد الحسين وعلى أصحاب الحسين. السلام عليكم جميعا يا شهداء كربلاء ورحمة الله وبركاته. أما بعد، يقول الله تعالى في محكم كتابه الكريم وقوله الحق وهو أصدق الصادقين. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. ونريد أن نمن على الذين استضعفوا في الأرض ونجعلهم أئمة ونجعلهم الوارثين. To hasten the reappearance of our 12th and awaited Imam, and to establish our hearts on the wilayah of Ali ibn Abi Talib, recite with the loudest of your voices a salawat ala Muhammad wa ali Muhammad. Allahumma salli ala. Respected my dear brothers and sisters in Islam, brothers and sisters, scholars, Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. When we study the Holy Quran, you find that a verse within the Quran which comes across in Surah Al-Qasas, verse number 5. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala refers to a specific instance in which He promises to inherit the earth to a group of people, which He labels quite interestingly. Allah within the Quran speaks about a specific group of people which will come at the end of time and will be given the ability and the blessings of inheriting the earth. And just like Allah mentions it within the Quran, the Bible comes across in the chapter of Matthew and also establishes the concept that at the end of time there will come a specific group of people which have been referred to as the meek. Allah in this verse, He speaks about a group of people which He labels as mustad'afin. He says, وَنُرِيدُ أَن نَمُنَّ عَلَى الَّذِينَ اسْتُضْعِفُوا فِي الْأَرْضِ. And we desire to give this earth to those who have been oppressed in this earth, and to appoint them, number one, as imams, وَنَجَعَلَهُمُ الْوَارِثِينَ, and to give them the ability of being the inheritors, meaning they will be the beneficiaries of this earth. This is interesting because this is directly correlated to a concept which is found in absolutely every religion, be it divine or be it a religion which has been formulated by man. And this is no other than the concept of a Messiah, the concept of a Savior. The concept that there will come a man at the end of time when all things reach the pinnacle of evilness, a man which will establish peace and justice after the earth was established with oppression, with tyranny, and with dictatorship. Because today when we study every single religion within the universe that we live in, you find that they hold close a tenet which is known as a Savior, a Messiah. You, for example, study Christianity, and you find they hold the concept which is known as the second coming of Jesus of Nazareth, Jesus son of Mary. You go on and you study Judaism, and you find that they hold this concept which is known as the Messiah, which will be coming at the end of time and is a descendant of King David. You go on and you study Buddhism, and you find they hold the concept of a Messiah who is coming at the end of time, which has been labeled as the Maitreya. You go on further and you even study Zoroastrianism, and you see that they hold the concept of a Messiah which will come at the end of time and has been labeled as Saoshyant. And interestingly, you find that each religion comes forward and claims that the Messiah coming at the end of time is one of them. Meaning the Christians come forward and say that the Messiah is going to be Christian and He's one of us. The Buddhists come and say that the Messiah is going to be Buddhist and He's one of us. The Jews, the Zoroastrians, all sorts of religions and faith and customs come forward and say that the Messiah that's coming is going to be one of us. Now, interestingly, you find that the characteristics that each religion applies to a savior is applicable to the 12th Imam that you and I believe in, Imam Sahib al-Asri wa Zaman, Ajjalallah ta'ala farjuhu al-Sharif. The Christians come forward and say the Messiah is Christian. How could we say Imam is Christian? The Zoroastrians come and say that Imam is Zoroastrian. How could we say Imam is Zoroastrian? The Jews come and say that the Messiah coming is a Jew. How could we say that Imam is Jew? You find all four of these criteria or qualities or descriptions are found applicable to the Imam of our time. Number one, we can establish that Imam is Christian. Why? Because the very mother of Imam was who? Narjis. Narjis was the daughter of the Byzantine Empire king. Because as you know, one of the most intriguing stories within Islam is the story of Khanum Narjis. Narjis was very distant from the land where Imam Mahdi alayhi salam and Imam Al-Askari used to live in. She was seen in a dream. In this dream, she saw that Fatima al-Zahra, the Holy Prophet, and Jesus came to her. And they told her, "Oh lady, there is a man by the name of Hussain al-Askari. We command you to go to this specific area and to disguise yourself as a slave, and somebody will be there to receive you, and he will wed you to a man by the name of Hussain al-Askari, and you will give birth to a man by the name of Al-Mahdi." This lady is Christian, so we can establish that Imam has a sense of Christianity in his descent. The Zoroastrians come and say that the Messiah is a Zoroastrian and he is of Persian descent. When we study the lineage of our 12th Imam, fascinatingly we find that the very mother of our 4th Imam, Zain al-Abidin alayhi salam, wasn't she the daughter of King Yazdegerd II? Which makes her a Persian princess. Then number two, we can establish that Imam has some Persian in his descent. The Jews come forward and say that the Messiah is going to be Jewish and he's a follower and the king of David. How could we establish that Imam is a Jew and he has a sense of Judaism in his descent? You find as Muslims, don't we believe that we descend back to who? Ismail alayhi salam. Ismail is the brother of who? Ishaq. Ishaq and Ismail are both the sons of the patriarch of the religion of Islam, which is who? Ibrahim alayhi salam. That Allah refers to. He says, "Huwa alladhi sammakum muslimin." He is the very one who labeled you as Muslims. We are Bani Hashim, meaning Ahlul Bayt alayhim salam. Bani Hashim descend from Ismail. Ismail is the brother of Ishaq. Thus we can conclude that both the followers of Ismail and Ishaq both come from Ibrahim alayhi salam, meaning their source and their foundation is one. Now many people may come forward and say, "Brother, why does this matter? Why is this such an important topic to come and discuss?" As in, okay, all descriptions are found in our Imam, but why is this important? This is extremely crucial for the following reason. Because many times when we come forward and we discuss the necessity of a living Imam, the existence of a Hujjah of Allah on this earth, we discuss him as if he's coming only for the Muslims, correct or no? We speak about Imam Mahdi as if he's only going to come and protect the Shia. When Allah in Surah Al-Qasas, chapter 28, verse number 5, He comes and describes the category of those who Imam is going to come and support. What does He say? Does He say, وَنُرِيدُ أَن نَمُنَّ عَلَى الْعَرَبِ? Does He say, وَنُرِيدُ أَن نَمُنَّ عَلَى الْمُسْلِمِينَ? Does He say, وَنُرِيدُ أَن نَمُنَّ عَلى الْعَجَمِ? وَنُرِيدُ أَن نَمُنَّ عَلى this, على that? No. وَنُرِيدُ أَن نَمُنَّ عَلَى الَّذِينَ اسْتُضْعِفُوا فِي الْأَرْضِ. He says, we will, Allah says, to recompense and to give aid to those who have been oppressed. Meaning you may be a Christian, Imam Mahdi is coming to help you if you are oppressed. You may be a Jew, Imam Mahdi is going to come and help you if you are oppressed. You may be from any religion, Imam Mahdi alayhi salam is a universal Messiah who's coming to support all people of all religions, of all faiths and of all beliefs under one condition: if you are oppressed. And this is crucial to understand. Why? Because many times we don't know the necessity of establishing interfaith dialogue with people of different religions. When we study that Imam Mahdi alayhi salam plays as the very premise and foundation that unites people of all religions, I see that I could use Imam Mahdi to connect with people of different religions, correct or no? I see that this Imam is only coming for me. He's coming for you, O follower of Jesus. He's coming for you, O follower of Moses. He's coming for you, O oppressed. That it's unfortunate to say that many times in our community, we lack that universal approach towards the message of Islam. We lack that sense of universality in the way we look at the religion of Islam. Not only with Imam Mahdi, but even more so with the message of Imam Hussain alayhi salam. Many times when we discuss the necessity and the mission and what a beautiful aid Imam Hussain brought to the religion of Islam, we speak as if Imam Hussain came only for the Shia. We speak as if Imam Hussain came only for those who label themselves as Muslims. And this is a problem. Why? Because when the Christian comes and he studies the message of Imam Hussain alayhi salam, if he sees him as a man of universality, he will be so intrigued by his message that even this Christian will see that he may not be a part of the religion of Hussain, but he sees Hussain as a part of him. He may not say that I am a Muslim by creed, but by principle I am a follower of Imam al-Hussain. That's why you find numerous non-Muslims have come forward and expressed what an importance they see in Abu Abdullah al-Hussain. That today, if we understand what Hussain is, we see that the whole world and the justice that it has come with has been built on the very foundation of Abu Abdullah al-Hussain. What do I mean by this? Today you find that Obama comes and says that I am inspired by Martin Luther King. Martin Luther King says I was inspired by Gandhi. And Gandhi says تعلمت من الحسين كيف أكون مظلوما فأنتصر. He says I learned from Abu Abdullah al-Hussain how to be oppressed yet still become victorious. You know this Gandhi in his first salt march against the British, you know how many people he took with him? 72. They came and they asked him, Gandhi, why did you take 72 people with you when you went against the British in your first salt march? He said Abu Abdullah al-Hussain took with him 72 and his message is eternal until today. I want to take 72 with me so that my message is eternal as well. This is Gandhi. Today you find people come forward and they express that Gandhi has inspired Nelson Mandela. They come and tell you that Gandhi inspired Martin Luther King. They tell you that Gandhi is seen as the icon of justice, equality, and standing up against foreign invasion. That today the world knows that Gandhi inspired so many people, but nobody comes and asks who was Gandhi inspired by. Nobody comes and says, who was Gandhi? Gandhi, the very one who says, I learned from Hussain. Now the idea is that Gandhi was a Hindu, correct or no? Gandhi was not a Muslim. By creed, he wasn't labeled as a Muslim. But by principle, he's seen that Hussain is universal. And I know for a fact that I can relate to a man such as Abu Abdullah al-Hussain. When we take the initiative of approaching Abu Abdullah in a universal fashion, not in a cultural or emotional fashion, we begin to see that the whole world will be intrigued by Abu Abdullah al-Hussain. Because it's unfortunate to say that we, the Shia, sometimes are the greatest enemies of Abu Abdullah al-Hussain. You know Shaheed Mutahhari, may Allah bless his soul, he says Imam Hussain was killed twice. Once in Karbala, and once on the pulpits of the Shia. They came, they told him, what do you mean by that? How could you make such a comment? He said, once in Karbala, Imam Hussain was killed, number one. And number two, he was killed by the Shia. Why? Because they limit his message simply to the emotional aspect and not to the universal aspect. Because it's almost as if our frame was too small for Hussain. So besides us expanding our frame, we minimized Hussain. We had a frame, our mentality, our culture, what we believe to be dear to us. Our frame it wasn't big enough to fit the image of Imam al-Hussein. So besides us expanding our vision to connect to the universality of Abu Abdullah al-Hussein, we minimized Hussein and brought him down to our level. Besides us elevating to the status of Abu Abdullah, what did we do? We brought him down to our level. Now when I come and I approach Abu Abdullah for the truth that he came with the justice that he came with, the Christian will see that he is a part of Abu Abdullah al-Hussein. Because there's two ways you can explain the message of Hussein to the non-Muslim. A non-Muslim could come to you and he could say, who is this Hussein of yours? You Shia are always crying, and this is a crucial question that our youth should be asking themselves. We're always crying for Imam al-Hussein, always shedding tears for Imam al-Hussein, wearing black, hitting our chest. These are beautiful customs that our religion has come forward with. Yet the question is, why are we always remembering Hussein? See, today if a non-Muslim was to come to you and he was to ask you a question, and he was to say, who is this Hussein of yours, and why are you always crying about him? There's two ways you could explain to him. The first way is that I could explain it in an emotional way. I tell him this Hussein was a man, he was in Karbala. He has 72 members, he fell off the horse, somebody came beheaded him, he wanted water. To a certain extent, this Christian may begin to cry. Yet there's a second way I can approach the message of Abu Abdullah al-Hussein to the non-Muslim. I tell him Hussein was a man who in Karbala strived to preserve the teachings and principles of your Jesus, son of Mary. This Christian instantly will begin to look at you. He will say, your Hussein has something to do with my Jesus? Absolutely. Imam Hussein, he didn't come forward and say that I'm coming to Karbala simply to preserve Islam. He said, إِنِّي لَمْ أَخْرِجْ أَشَرًا وَلَا بَطِرًا وَلَا مُفْسِدًا وَلَا ظَالِمًا ولكن خرجت لطلب الإصلاح في أمة جدي رسول الله. He said, I didn't come for personal desires. No, not at all. I didn't come for personal power. He said, I came to establish morality, islah, to bring reformation to the society that my grandfather Muhammad has come with. Now, if Imam al-Hussein simply came to establish reform, then this is the exact same thing that Jesus came to do, correct or no? This is the exact same thing that Moses came to do. That's why in Karbala wasn't only Hussein against Yazid. It was Musa against Fir'aun. It was Habil against Qabil. It was Muhammad against Abu Sufyan. It was complete goodness against complete evil. That's why when we start our ziyarah, we refer to Imam Hussein, we say, فَلَعَنَ اللَّهُ أُمَّةً أَسَّسَتْ أَسَاسَ الظُّلْمِ وَالْجَوْرِ عَلَيْكُمْ أَهْلِ الْبَيْتِ. We say, may Allah curse the very nation that built the foundation and infrastructure of evil in Karbala. Meaning complete evil was there present in Karbala. And complete good was there in Karbala. I begin to see it not through a tunneled vision, not through a narrow-minded vision. I begin to see that Karbala is everything. Wherever I look, I see Karbala. I look at the world today, if there's anything we see, all we see is Karbala. Wherever you look, you see a Hussein counterattacked by a Yazid. Wherever you look, you see a Shimr fighting a Hussein. Wherever you look, you see a Zainab. That's in every era, there is a Hussein. Yet our duty is to see who is that Hussein and let's strive to follow him. You know, interestingly, you find Saddam. When Saddam was assassinating Shahid al-Sadr, rahmatullahi alayh, he was killing Shahid al-Sadr and he commanded that his armies kill his sister Bint al-Huda as well. Bint al-Huda was the sister of Shahid al-Sadr. They came to him and they told him, Saddam, as we understand why you want us to kill Shahid al-Sadr, but why do you want us to kill Bint al-Huda? Listen to the reply of Saddam. He says, I don't want to make the same mistake that Yazid did. I don't want to make the same mistake that Yazid did. Because Yazid, he killed Hussein, but he forgot to kill the preservation and the continuation of the message of Hussain, which was Zainab salawatullah salam alayha. Because Karbala was made of two parts, Hussain in Karbala and Zainab in Sham. Saddam killed the Hussain of the time and he killed the Zainab of the time, because he understands in every era there is a Hussain and in every era there is a Yazid. And this is something very practical. When the quote comes and says, La yawm ka yawmika ya Aba Abdullah, there is no day like your day, O Aba Abdullah, I say unbelievable. That means I'm still living in Karbala. Karbala still didn't end. Karbala began on the sands of Karbala. It didn't end. Muharram was established by Hussain. It wasn't ended by Hussain. Imam Hussain started it. When will it end? When Imam Sahib al-Zaman comes. Salawat ala Muhammad wa Muhammad. And it's for that reason, for us to understand the true essence and the crux and the pinnacle of the message of Imam al-Hussain alayhi salam, we have to understand our role in the message, in the advent, in Sahib al-Zaman alayhi salam. Because as you know, today the world has reached such a level of corruption, and people are asking themselves every now and then, when will this 12th Imam come? When is this Imam supposed to be coming? You see, because sometimes we think our Imam isn't taken into consideration by the enemies of Allah Azza wa Jal. Sometimes we think that Imam Mahdi is simply something on the side and the enemies are not taking Imam Mahdi into consideration. You know, I was once sitting down with my father and we're watching a show by the name of Meet the Press. On this Meet the Press, they have a senator sitting down and they're asking him specific questions. Scenarios. If you attack this specific Islamic country and this happens, what will you do? So he tells him, what if you attack this country and you miss? Tell him that's a big problem. He told him, what if you attack this country and you realize that they have the same exact weaponry as you? He says that's even a bigger problem. He said, what if you attack this country, you miss and they attack you back? He tells him that's complete annihilation. That's the worst thing that could happen. He told him, if each scenario is worse, one after the other, then why are you still going to attack a country like that? He tells him, because even worse than us attacking that country is if a man comes from Mecca with the flags of Islam in his hand, with millions of people supporting him, trying to overthrow the motives of our country. Who is he referring to? Imam Sahib al-Zaman. Now this is a senator, and he's making it clear that his whole plans and schemes and strivings is all rotating around Imam Mahdi alayhi salam. That's unfortunate to say that today the enemy knows Imam Mahdi more than the Muslims do. That Imam Mahdi alayhi salam is made up of two words. He is muntazir, and at the same time he is muntazar. He is waiting for us and we are waiting for him. But more than us waiting for Imam Mahdi is waiting for us. That many times I come and I ask the question, who is actually in ghaibah? Is it us or is it the Imam? As an Imam is there, he's ready. Imam al-Mahdi alayhi salam was prepared 1400 years ago. Ever since Imam al-Askari alayhi salam was killed, Imam Mahdi was ready at the age of 5. Yet the question is, if Imam is ready, why hasn't he reappeared? Why hasn't he come out? Well, very simple. Because he doesn't have anybody to help him. He doesn't have anybody to aid him in his message. That the first role that you and I have in the message of Imam al-Hussain alayhi salam is that we have to be able to know our Imam. That today you find many people come forward and they throw accusations at our 12th Imam, telling him that how could a 5-year-old receive imamat at this tender age? You know, many people come with this question. They say, you tell us that your Imam received imamat at the tender age of 5. I don't understand. How could that work? He's 5 years old and you're telling us that he received imamat? You see, people who come with such accusations haven't took the initiative to read the very Quran itself. Because if age was a factor in the message of Allah Azza wa Jal, then Ali ibn Abi Talib wouldn't have been appointed as the successor of Rasulullah at the age of 9. Imam Mahdi alayhi salam was 5 years old. Let's go to the Quran and see exactly what the Quran has to say about young age. The Quran refers to a prophet who is still an infant in his cradle, correct or no? They come to Maryam alayhi salam and they tell her, Ya Maryam, where did you give birth to such a child? As in, we know that you had good parents and you would never do something unjust. Who is this child's father? فأشارت إليه قالوا كيف نكلم من كان في المهد صبيا قال إني عبد الله آتاني الكتاب وجعلني نبيا وجعلني مباركا أينما كنت. They come to Maryam and they say, Ya Maryam, where did you give birth to such a child? Maryam instantly points to Isa salawatullah salamu alayhi. Isa was an infant in the cradle. Instantly he arises and he says, I am the servant of Allah. I have been given the book and I have been appointed as a prophet. That if Isa at the age of infancy is able to declare himself as a prophet, why is it difficult to understand that a 5-year-old could establish himself as an imam? That these arguments, many people come forward and they'll throw them at the imam. And we have to be able to counterattack these arguments. Because today the world has reached such a level of corruption. Today, I tell you, brothers and sisters, the events that are unfolding in front of our eyes are events which wouldn't have happened within a duration of 500 years. They're happening within a few months. Dictators being toppled, nations being overthrown, dictators falling, tyrants rising. We live in such a rapid and instant world that these are nothing except signs of the appearance of our 12th Imam. Yet Imam Mahdi alayhi salam, as he mentions in Ziyarat Nahiya, he says, لَأَنْجُبَنَّكَ صَبَاحًا وَمَسَاءً وَلَأَبْكِيَنَّ عَلَيْكَ بَدَلَ الدُّمُوعِ دَمًا. He says, I will cry upon your loss day and night. And besides shedding normal tears, I will shed tears of fresh blood. Why is Imam shedding tears of blood? Because he's sitting down and he's witnessing what's taking place in front of his eyes, what's happening to his Shia. And he's saying, Ya Allah, give me the green light, give me the sign. I want to go and help them. Yet Imam says, I need people to come and help me. That's why, number one, we have to be able to know our Imam. Number two, the second role that we have in the mission of Imam Mahdi alayhi salam is that we need to take him as an example. Today you find one of the biggest problems when it comes to our youth is that there's a lack of role models to be taken. Typically you find today our youth, the way they dress, the way they speak, the way they carry themselves is identical to the examples that they take. You find, for example, today if you go into a youth's room, very unlikely you'll find a picture of Hussain or a picture of Abbas or a picture of Karbala. Today it's unfortunate to say that you go to our youth's rooms, you find pictures of 50 Cent, pictures of M&M and all of these different candy bars. You find these singers posted on their walls. Now you may come and tell me, brother, that's not a problem. What do you mean? I love his music. I like listening to this kind of stuff. See, because the problem is that it doesn't stop at listening to his music. It continues to beginning to act like him. It continues to beginning to speak like him. Today, how many youth do you find speak in vulgar language? The way they dress, instantly you can point him out. He's sticking out like a sore thumb. That is somebody who's taking so-and-so as an example. He begins to speak like him. He begins to act like him. He begins to be like him. That Allah in the Quran, if there's one thing He's constantly emphasizing on, is the examples that you take. Hence you find Allah comes and emphasize very emphatically. He says, لَقَدْ كَانَ لَكُمْ فِي رَسُولِ اللَّهِ أُسْوَةٌ حَسَنَةٌ لِمَنْ كَانَ يَرْجُو اللَّهَ وَالْيَوْمَ الْآخِرَ وَذَكَرَ اللَّهَ كَثِيرًا. He says, indeed in the Holy Prophet is an example for you. How I dress should be identical to the way that the Prophet would dress. How I take a step should be identical to the way that the Holy Prophet took a step. How I breathe should be identical to the way that the Prophet would breathe. Yes, to that extent. Because when I take somebody of infinite goodness as an example, then my striving in this world is going to be infinite as well. I begin to see that that is my goal, and once I reach it, I'll stop. Yet when I take somebody who has reached Maqam al-Mahmud, such as the Holy Prophet, he's on such a lofty status that I begin to see my life constantly going uphill and not downhill. You see, today one of the biggest problems is that our sense of spirituality is very roller coaster like. One day we feel spiritual, the second day we feel depressed, the third day we feel, mashallah, going a little bit higher. This isn't a problem. But the wise person takes this into consideration. He looks at that fluctuating status and he says, what is it that brought me down a few days ago in my spirituality? And he's wise. He says, okay, number one, I write it down. I'm going to prevent that next time. I go to this specific place and I see that my spirituality isn't too good. You know, today, brothers and sisters, many come forward and they say, Assalamu alayka ya Aba Abdullah. They say, peace be upon you, O Hussain. Yet you find the actions that they do are the farthest away from Imam Al-Hussain alayhi salam. You know, today in our communities, what's big of a problem is the issue of clubbing. You see, many times people come forward and they say, brother, this is a taboo. These are taboo issues. Do not mention them on the pulpit. No. If the pulpit doesn't bring answers to these kinds of questions, then I tell you, our youth will go other places to find for answers. See, many times people come and say, brothers, why don't the youth come to the masjid? What's the big deal? As in, we're catering to their needs, we're holding programs, we're doing this, we're doing that. Why aren't our youth coming? You see, youth, I speak to you as a youth. When youth come to the center and they see that they're not receiving satisfying answers, then they say, there's no point of me coming to the masjid anymore. I don't feel welcomed in this center. Let me go somewhere else and maybe they will give me answers. This is when they begin to resort to clubs. When they don't feel welcomed in a center and they feel as if they're an outcast, the way they dress is being scolded, the way they act, people are looking at them weirdly. They say, I don't feel comfortable here. I don't want to stay here. Let me leave. Let me go to places where I do feel comfortable. That you find today in our communities, many times, our youth have questions. Many questions, such as the existence of God, such as the justice of God, the mercy of Allah. And when we come to our centers and we're not giving answers to these youth, do you know what happens? They begin to go other places. Religion of Islam is a religion of answers. Because a religion that prevents specific questions from being asked is a religion that knows its foundation is shaky. You see, if we had answers to everything, you find today, you go to our Sunday schools, somebody asks a question and he says, why does God exist? I personally have had these instances where you ask a teacher such a question and she scolds you. Instantly the face would get red and they say, how could you ask such a question? Never ask this question. Haram. Bid'ah. Don't do that. What do you mean bid'ah? What do you mean haram? If I don't come to the center and I don't get answers for these questions of mine, what's going to happen? As in, when you read the Quran, how many times do they come to the Prophet of Islam sallallahu alayhi wa alihi wa sallam? Allahumma salli ala Muhammad. They come to the prophets and they ask him, يسألونك عن الروح, يسألونك عن الأنفال, يسألونك عن الأهلة, يسألونك عن الساعة, يسألونك عن الروح, قل الروح من أمر ربي. Always they're coming to the prophet and we ask him, they question him, question after question. Why? Because they seen that they have questions and the prophet was a man of answers. That today you find history recalls only one individual that asked the people around him, ask me any question and I have an answer for you. Today historians come and tell you there is only one individual in the history that has proposed to his society, ask me any question that you want and I have an answer for it. The commander of the faithful, Ali ibn Abi Talib, comes and says, Saluni, Saluni, qabla an tafqiduni, fa inni ana al-Qur'an al-natiq. He says, ask me, do not be embarrassed before you lose me. Why? Because I am the portable Qur'an. This is the status of Ali ibn Abi Talib. He's the portable Quran. Because you see in Islam, you have a silent Quran, and then you have the speakable Quran. A Quran which we read in our books, And then Allah gave us the very manifestation of the Quran. The man who is the walking, breathing, talking, speaking, sleeping Quran. Everything he does is within the diameter of the Quran. That he moves his hand, that's something that the Quran would want me to do. He makes a step, he makes a comment, that's something that the Quran would want me to do. That many people come today and they say, why are you so emphatic and exaggerative in the religion and the love that you have for Ali ibn Abi Talib? As in, give me somebody other than Ali and the Holy Prophet that comes indeed before him, that manifested the Quran to such an extent that his very breath is considered a form of Quran, and I would be more than happy to take him as a follower. I would be more than happy to take him as a leader. The idea is that Ali ibn Abi Talib said, Saluni, ask me. They come to him, they tell him, Ya Ali ibn Abi Talib, how many pieces of hair do I have in my beard? You can imagine, the Christian philosopher, he comes forward and he says, there are certain individuals who were born for times other than the times that they were born in. And Ali ibn Abi Talib was one of them. سلوني سلوني قبل أن تفقدوني فإني أنا القرآن الناطق. You see, brothers and sisters, it's sad. Because the status of Ahlul Bayt has not been taken to the world. It has not been reflected in the legit fashion that it should be. I remember I was once sitting in my class, and I commonly narrate this story. I was once sitting in my class, and I had a teacher by the name of Mr. Hussain. Mr. Hussain was my world religion teacher, and he's explaining Islam to us. And we reached the level where we're discussing what happened after the Prophet. So he mentions, he's reading, the whole class is sitting down, he's in front of us and he's narrating the story. He says, after the Prophet, person A, person B, and person C preserved the religion of Islam. So I rose my hand, I told him, excuse me, Mr. Sai, not to bother you, just a quick question. You mentioned that these three individuals preserved the religion after the Holy Prophet. I have a question for you. Have you heard of a man by the name of Hussain? Do you know what Hussain did to Islam? I tell you, this teacher, his face became red. He pointed at me and he said, how could you ask such a question? You Shia, always give the credit to Hussain. You guys don't know what happened after the Holy Prophet. I told him, number one, calm down. That's number one. Number two, I don't care about my grade. This is haqq and batil. And number three, I didn't mention anything about Shia Sunni. I didn't say anything about Shia Sunni differences. What do you mean? You're mentioning Shia Sunni differences. He was like, you Shia, you. I told him, calm down. I told him, do you know what we believe about Hussain? I told him, what? What do you mean? I told him, we believe that Hussain planted the seed, that Rasulullah planted the seed. All Hussain did is that he came and he watered it. He told me, what do you mean by that? I told him, give me one battle in history, all of history, study it from beginning to end, and give me one battle where 72 were combating 30,000 and the 72 are remembered and the 30,000 are forgotten. Give me one battle. He was like, I don't know. What do you mean? I'm telling you, the class is sitting down. They can care less. We're wasting time. They're looking left. They're looking right. And all of a sudden, Mr. Sain is silent. He looks at me and he says, valid point. Point taken. I told him, you better believe it, point taken. Salawat ala Muhammad wa ali Muhammad. That I tell you, and I don't blame him. Wallah, with all sincerity, I say I don't blame this teacher. And I didn't get mad at him. I don't blame him for anything. It's the system that we live in. The system that we have been brought under spreads these kinds of ideas. They spread these kinds of ideologies. And they don't know the truth. Yet once we take the initiative of not only reading the Quran, but becoming the Quran through our actions, then the world will begin to see what Islam truly is. That's number two. When I understand my role in Imam Mahdi alayhi salam, I begin to take him as an example, and I see that everything I do is linked directly to that of Imam Mahdi alayhi salam. Because it's one thing having a leader or an example who is dead. And it's a whole nother story when my example is alive. He's alive and he hears me. That's why we say in our dua, we say, أشهد أنك تسمع الكلام وترد الجواب. We say, oh Imam, I bear witness that you hear what I say and you reply to whatever I ask you. That Imam is there. And Imam says, just call on to me and I will reply. If your salutations to me is sincere, then I will reply to you. I say, wa alaykum assalam wa rahmatullah wa barakatuh. Imam says, I'm there. That's number 3. We have to take the responsibility of doing what? Praying for Imam. Many people may come and say, brother, what do you mean pray for Imam? Why do I need to pray for Imam? You see, Ahlul Bayt have left us profound supplications, such as dua al-nudbah, such as dua Abi Hamza al-Thamali. But in specific for Imam Mahdi alayhi salam, they left us dua al-nudbah, dua al-ahd specifically. Dua al-ahd means the dua of the oath. Meaning I'm making an oath with Imam al-Hussain alayhi salam. Now many people may come and ask, why is it so important for me to pray for the well-being of the 12th Imam? As in, what's the necessity of it? I don't need to. It's crucial. Because this proves one thing. That when I do dua for my 12th Imam, I have just established that I have certainty in the existence of Imam Mahdi alayhi salam. Because as you know, within the religion of Islam, Allah has set specific things as the unseen. Alam al-Ghayb. That's why in Surah number 2, verses number 4, Allah says, ذَلِكَ الْكِتَابُ لَا رَيْبَ فِيهِ هُدًى لِلْمُتَّقِينَ الَّذِينَ يُؤْمِنُونَ بِالْغَيْبِ وَيُقِيمُونَ الصَّلَاةَ وَيُؤْتُونَ الزَّكَاةَ وَمِمَّا رَزَقْنَاهُمْ يُنْفِقُونَ. Allah says, that is the book that has no doubt in it. A form of guidance for the God-conscious ones. Allah goes on and He describes who the God-conscious ones are. He says, number 1, they believe in the unseen. As in, Ya Allah, what do you mean believe in the unseen? Speak about salah, speak about qiyamah, speak about zakat? No. Number 1, those who believe in the unseen. That today many youth come and say, brother, how could we believe in something that we can't see? As in, you tell us that Imam Mahdi is alive and it's been 1400 years that he's existed, yet we still can't see him. How could we believe in such a thing? See, interestingly, you take the same youth and you ask him, do you believe in angels? Well, yes, of course, angels are nice, yep. Do you believe in shaitan? Oh, yes, shaitan is everywhere. Allah speaks about shaitan in the Quran. إِنَّهُ لَكُمْ عَدُوٌ مُبِينٌ فَاتَّخِذُوهُ عَدُوًّا. Allah says, take him as your... Tell him, okay, have you seen shaitan? How does he look? How does shaitan look? Well, brother, he has red horns, he has green eyes, and you know, that's shaitan. Have you ever seen shaitan? No, I haven't seen shaitan. Yeah, why do you believe in shaitan? Well, brother, this is shaitan, I feel him. Likewise, Imam Mahdi alayhi salam may not be seen with the naked eye, but numerous arguments and debates we can bring forward to things that we believe in, yet we still can't see. If I was to come and I backhand you, 50-mile-per-hour slap, right? I come and I backhand you, right? Instantly you find the person, he begins to put his hand on his arm. His cheek becomes red, he begins to scream. What are you doing? You just smacked me. Wait, show me the pain. What do you mean show me the pain? It's right there, can't you see it? It's red. I told him, no, that's the effects of the pain. Show me the pain itself. He's like, well, I can't show you this pain. How do you believe in it? Well, I can feel it. Likewise, we believe in Imam Mahdi, not because we see him, but because we can feel him. That's why when we come forward and we bring our dua, and we say, Allahumma balligh mawlaya al-Imam al-Mahdi, in dua al-Nudbah, dua al-Ahd, I'm sorry. We say, oh Allah, send my salutations to the 12th Imam Mahdi alayhi salam. You see, because I tell you, brothers and sisters, many times we don't feel Imam Mahdi. We don't feel him present amongst us. I narrate to you a story that explicitly proves that Imam Mahdi is there in all times and he knows exactly what's happening. It's amazing, you know, it's absolutely amazing. Sometimes you think Imam is really looking at what's happening to the Shia and he sees them being slaughtered and he's not doing anything about it. Imam knows. They narrate a man in the Sijin, the prison of Abu Ghraib. Because as you know, in Iraq, where I come from originally, there's a prison where Saddam used to throw his detainees, meaning those who go against his regime. He would throw them in there and they would be tortured extensively. So Saddam, he takes this man and he throws him into the prison and they whip him whip after whip. They slash him nearly 100 times. This man falls unconscious. He sees in his dream that Imam comes to him. Imam Mahdi alayhi salam. He comes to him and instantly he looks at him. He tells him, Imam, how many times did I call unto your name? How many times did you hear me say, Adrikni ya sahib al-zaman? Adrikni ya sahib al-zaman. Adrikni ya sahib al-zaman. Help me, help me, help me. I called on to you numerous times, Imam, yet you still didn't come out. Why? He told him, how much times did they whip you on your back? He told him, Imam, they whipped me about 100 times. He told him, turn around and show me your back. They say that the man turns around, he removes his shirt, and they see that there's about 10 whips on his back. He tells him, Imam tells him, how many times did they whip you? He said 100. He told him, how many whips are on your back? He said 10. The man gets embarrassed. Imam tells him, who do you think took the other 90? He tells him, who do you think took the other 90? He tells him, Adrikni ya sahib al-zaman. Imam says, by Allah, I will reply to you as long as you are sincere. Imam Mahdi alayhi salam is sitting on the sidelines and he sees what's taking place to his Shia. Yet Imam says, give me the green light, Ya Allah, through my Shia, and I'll be more than happy to go out. Yet you find, brothers and sisters, understanding Imam Mahdi alayhi salam and understanding the true message of Imam al-Hussain, in essence, is understanding Imam Mahdi. And I conclude with this. That many times we say, Ya laytana kunna ma'akum. We wish we were with you, O Imam al-Hussain alayhi salam. Yet the irony is that there's a 12th Imam waiting. He's standing right next to you and you don't go and help him. How could you say, Ya laytana kunna ma'akum? We wish we were with you, O Hussain. And then we find the 12th Imam is standing right on the sidelines and we're not helping him. Allah says, stand up. If you're true in your salutation to Imam Hussain, then there you have the Imam of your time waiting, more than happy for you to go and help him. That for us to truly understand Imam al-Hussain, we have to understand the Imam of our time. Because Karbala is made up of 3 phases. There are 3 levels and phases that comprise the battle of Karbala. Number 1, Karbala was a past and it was a tear. Number 2, Karbala became a present and it was actualized into blood. And number 3, Karbala is a future and it becomes a smile. What do I mean by this? Number 1, Karbala was a tear. The first stage of Karbala was that it was an initial tear in the eyes of every prophet. That it has been mentioned in our ahadith that every prophet, beginning with Adam, passed by the land of Karbala. He fell on the same exact place where Hussain fell and his blood was mixed with his. They say that Ibrahim alayhi salam is walking in Karbala. He trips and his knee falls onto the ground and he begins to bleed. Instantly he looks up to Allah. He tells him, Ya Allah, I am your Khalil, I am your friend. How could you do such a thing to me? He told him, did I do anything wrong? He tells him, no. He tells him, then why did I fall? He told him, on that same exact place, a man is going to fall as well by the name of Hussain. And I wanted your blood to be mixed with his. Every prophet remembered Imam al-Hussain alayhi salam. They say that Adam, Allah mentions to him the 5 names where we come and say in Surah Al-Baqarah, وَعَلَّمَ آدَمَ الْأَسْمَاءَ كُلَّهَا. And Allah taught the names to Adam. They say that these names that were taught to Adam were the 5 names of Ahlul Bayt. Allah tells him, Ya Adam, the first name is Muhammad. The second name is Ali. The third name is Fatima. The fourth name is Hassan. And the 5th name is Hussain. Adam turns to him. He tells him, Ya Allah, whenever you mention the first 4 names, I feel happy. I feel satisfied. But for some reason, whenever you mention that 5th name, all of a sudden I feel tears falling from my eyes. He told him, Ya Allah, what's the philosophy behind this? He told him, O Adam, understand that this Hussain is a man who will have no day compared to his. La yawm ka yawmika ya Aba Abdullah. Initially, Karbala was a tear in the eyes of the prophets. Number 1, it was a past. Number 2, Karbala became a present That's why Salma, you find the Prophet told her, when this cup of sand converts into blood, then know that Imam al-Hussein was killed. That it was actualized into blood. It became a present. It became flesh. It became blood. It became spears. It became rocks. It became something actualized. It wasn't only a tear, now it transformed into actual blood. Yet the third level is the most crucial. And this is where you and I come into the picture. That number 3, Karbala will be transferred into a smile. Why is this? Because you find the blood that Imam al-Hussein shed in Karbala is nothing except fuel for the 12th Imam that's going to come. That when I shed these tears for Imam al-Hussein alayhi salam, I should see them as fuel and gasoline and ignition for me to understand my 12th Imam. That I cry for Hussein and I say, oh Hussein, I wish I was with you, yet these tears have to fall with reason and logic, that yes, my tears are falling, and now I know there's a 12th Imam, thus I'm going to do everything I can to prepare for him. That's why you find when Imam Mahdi salawatullah salamu alayhi is going to come out, he's first going to go where? To Mecca. Secondly, Imam is going to go to Karbala. And this is where he finishes and completes the mission of Imam al-Hussein alayhi salam. That Imam Hussein began it and Imam Mahdi will end it. You see, we have to have this 3-dimensional picture of the religion. Many times we have a 2-dimensional picture of the religion. We say that we'll cry for Hussein and we'll shed our tears for Hussein and then we'll do this and that for Hussein, but we wouldn't connect it to the final message and the final piece of the puzzle. That every prophet came as a preparation for Imam Mahdi. You know, they say that Allah put Isa or Khidr into occultation as a preparation for Isa. Allah put Jesus into occultation as a preparation for who? For Imam Mahdi. And Allah put Imam Mahdi into occultation as a preparation to understand Allah Azza wa Jal. That I believe in something, yet I don't see it, this prepares me to believe in Allah Azza wa Jal. Yet when I connect this to Imam Mahdi, I begin to feel purpose. See, today our youth, and I conclude with this, lack purpose. They lack a sense of connection in their life. They live a very disconnected life. I'll go to school, I'll see this, I'll see a couple of people that interest me, they attract me, they arouse some desires inside of me. I'll go, I'll speak to them, I'll go back home feeling happy, I'll sleep, I'll wake up, and I'll do the same exact thing over and over. It becomes something very cyclical. I'll go to the club, I'll drink, I'll dance, I'll intoxicate my mind, I'll numb my emotions, and then when it comes time for Muharram, let's remember Abu Abdullah. What do you mean, let's remember Abu Abdullah? Imam al-Hussein alayhi salam says, I came not to reform your cultural books, your stories. He said, I came to reform your life. That me as a youth in the 21st century, I may be, despite my age, it doesn't matter. Yet I begin to say that I love Hussein and I'm going to begin to follow him through my action. That's why in the Quran Allah says, قُلْ إِن كُنْتُمْ تُحِبُّونَ اللَّهِ فَاتَّبِعُونِي يُحْبِبْكُمُ اللَّهِ. Say, if you love Allah, the Prophet says, then follow me. Allah will love you. That the first criteria for me to understand who Hussein actually was to take the initiative to follow him. That I see somebody like Imam al-Hussein in the last moments of his life. He's under pressure. He's under torture. He's under blood. Yet still he's speaking to Allah. What a man. I can't comprehend this. You see, because I'm sitting in luxury and I'm still not remembering Allah. Imam Hussein is in blood. He has daggers in his chest. He has a man sitting on top of him getting ready to behead him and sever that pure neck. Yet he's mentioning Allah. He's saying, Ilahi taraktul khalqa turran fi hawaka wa aytamtu al-'iyala likay araka فلو قطعتني بالحب يربا لما مال الفؤاد إلى سواك They say that when Shimr came to the body of Imam Al-Hussain, Shimr himself narrates, he says that I came to that body and I say, oh, I saw a nur coming from the face of this man. They say, Shimr says that his face gripped me so badly that I forgot the intention of why I even approached the man to kill him. He says that I saw his face and I saw the nur coming from his face, and I said, why did I come to this man? They say that he saw Hussain mentioning words in his last moments. He's saying, Ya Allah, I have left everything for you. Ya Allah, I've orphaned my children for you. Ya Allah, I am losing my life for you. They say that Umar ibn Sa'ad sent man after man to Imam Al-Hussain to kill him, but no one would have the audacity to kill the grandson of their prophet until Umar ibn Sa'ad sent a man of Christian descent to Imam Al-Hussain. He said that this Christian man doesn't know anything about Imam Al-Hussain. For a fact, I know he would finish him off. He doesn't know who Rasulullah is or anything about Islam. They say that the Christian man approached the body of Imam Al-Hussain alayhi salam. The man kneels down and he places his sword on the neck of Abu Abdullah Al-Hussain. And still Imam Al-Hussain in that situation, he forces himself to speak to the man. He tells him, oh my brother, what religion are you from? He tells him, I am a man of Christianity. Imam Al-Hussain tells him, Akhi Nasrani, halla qarat al-Injil. He tells him, oh my Christian brother, did you recite the Holy Bible? He tells him, yes, I recited the Bible, because as you know, the Bible mentioned the names of Ahlul Bayt, yet it was manipulated and changed and the names were taken out. He told him, did you come across this chapter? He told him, yes, I did. He told him, did you come across this verse? He told him, yes, I did. He told him, did you come across these 5 names? He told him, yes, I did. He told him, oh Christian man, tell me what are the 5 names? He told him the first name is Muhammad, the second name is Ali, the third name is Fatima, the fourth name is Shubbar, and the 5th name is Shubair. He told him, oh Christian man, bear witness that the first man that you mentioned is my grandfather. He told him that the second man is my father, the third lady is my mother, and the 4th man is my brother Hussain, and the 5th man is me. I am the man mentioned in your Bible. He tells him, Allahu Akbar, I didn't know any of this. I was brainwashed by Umar ibn Sa'ad. He tells him, what could I do? Tell me please. He tells him, oh my Christian brother, take my hand. The Christian man takes the hand of Imam Al-Hussain, and Imam tells him, repeat after me. He begins to say, Ashhadu an la ilaha illallah wa anna jaddaka Muhammadun Rasulullah. He tells him, what could I do? Please tell me. He says, take this sword of yours and go and protect the religion of Allah and His Prophet. The Christian man goes and he fights for the sake of Allah and he becomes a shaheed. Assalamu alayk ya Aba Abdillah. Assalamu alayk ya ibna Rasulillah. Assalamu alayk ya qatil ya atshan ya madloom Karbala. Brothers and sisters, we have many mu'mineen and mu'minat who are depending on our dua. Let us mention them in our dua and ask Allah to bless them with the ayat al-mubarakah 5 times with the loudest of your voices. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم أما يجيب المضطر إذا دعا ويكشف السوء أما يجيب المضطر إذا دعا ويكشف السوء أما يجيب المضطر إذا دعا ويكشف السوء أما يجيب المضطر إذا دعا ويكشف السوء. One more time. أما يجيب المضطر إذا دعا ويكشف السوء برحمتك يا أرحم الراحمين. And to answer our prayers and to hasten the appearance of our 12th and awaited Imam, we recite Surah Al-Mubarakat Al-Fatiha, but before it the loudest of your salawat ala Muhammadin wa ali Muhammad.